കരുണതൻ നിറവോടെ ഞങ്ങൾ വരുന്നു കാരുണ്യത്തിൻ നിറകുടമായി. രാത്രി മുല്ലകൾ പൂത്ത സുഗന്ധം പോൽ നമുക്കൊന്നായി ചേർന്നിടാം, നമുക്കൊന്നായി ചേർന്നിടാം. കരുണതൻ നിറവോടെ ഞങ്ങൾ വരുന്നു കാരുണ്യത്തിൻ നിറകുടമായി. കനിവു നിറഞ്ഞാടും മാമലനാട്, സുന്ദര കലകൾ തന്നാട്. ജാതിമത ചിന്തകൾക്കപ്പുറം എന്നും മാനവനൊന്നായ നാട്. ഈ നാടിനുയിരായി നീങ്ങാം, ഒന്നിച്ചൊന്നായി നീങ്ങിടാം. ഈ നാടിനുയിരായി നീങ്ങാം, ഒന്നിച്ചൊന്നായി നീങ്ങിടാം. കരുണതൻ നിറവോടെ ഞങ്ങൾ വരുന്നു കാരുണ്യത്തിൻ നിറകുടമായി. നിറദീപമായെന്നും അണയാതെ കാത്തിടും നമ്മൾ. ഒരുപാട് ജന്മങ്ങൾ, ഒരുപാട് യാതനകൾ, അതിലെല്ലാം താങ്ങായി സ്വസ്തി. സ്വസ്തിതൻ കരങ്ങൾ തൻ സ്നേഹത്താൽ നീറുന്ന ജന്മത്തിനാശ്വാസമായി. സ്വസ്തിതൻ കരങ്ങൾ തൻ സ്നേഹത്താൽ നീറുന്ന ജന്മത്തിനാശ്വാസമായി. കരുണതൻ നിറവോടെ ഞങ്ങൾ വരുന്നു കാരുണ്യത്തിൻ നിറകുടമായി. രാത്രി മുല്ലകൾ പൂത്ത സുഗന്ധം പോൽ നമുക്കൊന്നായി ചേർന്നിടാം, നമുക്കൊന്നായി ചേർന്നിടാം. കരുണതൻ നിറവോടെ ഞങ്ങൾ വരുന്നു കാരുണ്യത്തിൻ നിറകുടമായി. ആ
So good evening. Good evening. That was a signature song of Kerala Cancer Crusade and Cancer Literacy Mission, an 8-year project to reduce the cancer incidence in Kerala and also to downstaging of cancers, and to give the message and hope of that cancers can be cancers are curable, and early detections can significantly improve the quality of life. Today we are having this day 6 of the IRIA National Preventive Radiology Program in association with Susti Foundation, IRIA Kerala, and the Community Oncology Department of Regional Cancer Center, Trivandrum. On this day, we are going to discuss on the role of multidisciplinary teams in cancer screening. The focus of preventive oncology and the preventive radiology is to utilize imaging biomarkers and the clinical parameters to identify the high-risk group for cancers at an early stage and to detect them. So essentially, we will be looking at not only the medical disciplines, but also the engineering branches, the other disciplines that can also significantly contribute with the help of technology to accelerate or to accelerate this early detection that will help the downstaging of cancers. With that intention in mind, we had a Preventive Onco Summit in Trivandrum in August. And of course, Dr. Rengarajan Rajagopal from AIMS Jodhpur was a participant in that along with me. We had several deliberations on that. And this program is a fallout of that Preventive Onco Summit. There is a whole movement all across Kerala. And this month, where the Breast Cancer Awareness Month is going on, there is a cancer screening program going on in all districts of Kerala. Today, we have a chief guest who is a much respected and has done a significant work in the field of technology, the field of imaging, the founder of Mahajan Imaging, Padma Shri, Dr. Harsh Mahajan, sir. I welcome you, sir, to this webinar today. Mahajan sir's contribution. Mahajan sir was a past president of Indian Radiological and Imaging Association and is the president of NatHealth, Healthcare Federation of India, and also their significant work in the field of as a center of advanced research in neurology, genomics, and neurology in imaging and genomics, and also in artificial intelligence. They're working in collaboration with the major universities and research centers in the world, including Harvard, Stanford, and Oxford. So there is a lot of work that has been done, especially not only in academics, but also in the case of as an entrepreneur. He is a venture capitalist, he is an angel investor, and he is part of the several government committees that is involved in the integration of technology, and especially the indigenous technology for the Atmanirbhar Bharat. May I welcome and invite Dr. Harsh Mahajan, sir, to give us the inaugural address.
Thank you very much, Dr. Riju. It's indeed an honor for me to address all of you today. We have such an eminent panel of speakers who are going to speak. And at the outset, let me congratulate IRIA and especially you and the Kerala State branch of IRIA, along with Swasti Foundation and the Trivandrum Cancer Center, for having envisaged this, for having thought of doing this program and multi-day program in preventive oncology, and actually working on the ground and conducting screening. So you're not only talking theory, but you are translating it into practice on the ground. And this, I'm sure, will send a very strong message to society at large, to physicians, and will help in saving lives. We've heard since we were in school that prevention is better than cure. That actually is a maxim which rings true in so many of these chronic diseases, and especially in cancer, where if picked up early, you can actually cure. And also we know that even though prevention is better than cure, it is also cheaper than cure. And for a country like ours, where resources are limited, we have to think in terms of preventive medicine, predictive medicine, and ultimately precision medicine, especially in the field of oncology. And as the pandemic has shown, we have multiple centers which are capable of doing next-gen sequencing. Even we at Mahajan Imaging are part of the INSACOG. We do genomics, and apart from imaging. And just think of a scenario where if genomics was to become so cheap that you could actually venture into population genomics, and out of the 1.3, 1.4 billion population, if we were to hone down to that 100 million who are at higher risk of several cancers using genomics, then we could really make a difference. I'm also a believer in the use of integrated diagnostics, where using genomics and other such pathological lab medicine tests, we can actually find out those at higher risk and then do targeted screening at regular intervals as may be mandated, so as to pick up cancers as early as possible. The unfortunate part in our country, even though we say it's about 1.9 to 2 million fresh cancer patients that are diagnosed, possibly the number is much higher. And this disease burden is only going to grow. And your crusade that you've started should not only get limited to Kerala, but should spread across the length and breadth of the country, which I hope, Dr. Riju, with the enthusiasm, the passion that you have, you will take it across the country and others can learn from you. This is a program that's, a fantastic program. And I wish you all luck. This is a step in the right direction which needs to be taken forward. And I'm sure in the next, hour and plus that you're going to have to hear these, eminent speakers. It also, these academic sessions will work as a conduit for radiologists, for physicians, for oncologists, and society at large to participate in this crusade so that we actually are able to catch disease early, treat early, reduce the disease burden, and reduce the burden that cancers place on society as a large, both financial, emotional, and socio-economic. Thank you all very much. I wish this session all success and congratulate the speakers for the hard work that they've put in. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. That was Padma Shri Dr. Harsh Mahajan, sir. Harsh Mahajan, sir, is a role model for all the radiologists in India. Because not only an academician, as a social entrepreneur, we all recently an enterprise that was started by Sir, the Center for Integrated Diagnostics, that is truly a futuristic one in the sense it is the future of diagnostics that's integrating pathomics, radiomics, and genomics, and that is going to make a significant difference. And then when that kind of an integrated diagnostic spreads throughout the country, I think cancer screening or the lifestyle diseases screening, metabolic syndrome screening and all which will help us to have a screen positive population that has to be tackled specifically with medical interventions and lifestyle modifications. So thank you very much, sir, for joining us and giving us this wonderful message. And we wish to have you for one of our sessions, giving us a talk entirely for us in our future sessions.
Anytime. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Now, let me invite Dr. Rengarajan Rajgopal, Associate Professor of Radiology from All India Institute of Medical Sciences, Jodhpur. My interaction with Rengarajan in the recent Preventive Onco Summit was in a panel discussion I was moderating, and Rengarajan was talking about the panel discussion was on medical engineering nexus for cancer screening. And Rengarajan was talking about the AIMS IIT joint ventures that are in place, and we would be. And that is how I wished I was discussing with Rengarajan to have the IIT people as well as the AIMS people joining in for this cancer screening programs. So what are the new things that are happening there and what is the future? So Dr. Rengarajan has introduced Mr. Rohit Kalla and Dr. Ananya Panda for this talk. May I invite Dr. Rengarajan to start the scientific session. Unmute, please.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your gracious invitation. I would at the outset like to thank IRIA, Kerala chapter, IRIA, Preventive Radiology chapter, as well as Kerala Cancer Crusade and Swasti for inviting me for the Onco Summit in Trivandrum, as well as this webinar venture. So it was a great experience attending it in Trivandrum and to see the enthusiasm with which it was conducted. So we just had a panel discussion on the medical engineering nexus, and so that how the nexus would help in cancer screening and for preventive oncoradiology, basically. So I have a few slides. Yeah. So is my screen visible? I think it is. So we have to uh, uh, broaden our thinking in a way that cancer screening is not only limited to physicians, and we should try to involve as many other expert teams as possible, which is why this panel discussion is titled as multidisciplinary teams in cancer screening. As sir already pointed out, we need a nexus of science and engineering and medicine. So to reconsider how we go about all systems. So the main role of AI comes here, because much of cancer screening is based on imaging or some other imaging modality like histopathological slides. So there is an ever increasing imaging volume, and there is a stress of provision of accurate reports, because diagnosis of cancer makes a huge change in the clinical as well as social and economic value to the patient. And we should also maintain a lower proportion of discrepancy rate and rapid report turnaround time, because these patients, for them, loss of time it becomes very important. So as we can see with consultant radiologists, there is always a deficit of the amount of studies which are the amount of studies are far too high, rather than the amount of radiologists who are available for reporting it. So with lesser interpretation time, there is also an increase in the error rate. And with the diagnosis of cancer, we can see how this is going to impact the patient's treatment decisions. So there is obviously a need of AI. This has also been clearly shown in the amount of literature that has come in the recent times with respect to AI in radiological literature as well as for cancer literature. So, and we should always be an early adopter, or at least be in the early majority, where we adopt the technology much faster than the people in the late majority, so that we are not left behind. So are we using AI to improve our cancer screening skills? And basically, is this sort of reinventing the wheel? This is not reinventing the wheel, but this is improving the wheel in such a way it becomes much more efficient, and the system becomes much more efficient, as well as gives a great output rather than the older versions. So where can AI help us? It can help us in screening, clinical decision support, triaging, and as we see, it helps all along till the management as well as for patient prognostication. And so, other than AI, what else can we do? There's a lot of research which is going on developing point of care tools for cancer screening, and this is one of a device which is not particularly pertaining to cancer screening, but a point of care ultrasound device. And there are other technologies which were briefly mentioned earlier in the discussions also, like thermal scanning. So these technologies are being discovered, or rather invented, because of the collaboration between the medical as well as the engineering fields. So one of which as Rijo sir mentioned, is our collaboration with IIT Jodhpur, and our collaboration with other private players through the India-Sweden Innovation Collaboration. So we are using some of these tools and conducting research on whether this can be used for mass screening. So what are the major challenges as far as we have seen? It's to bridge a proof of concept to successful clinical implementation, which will impact how this is implemented in the community. And we need also good data, as Mahajan sir said, that in India, the major challenge is data, and there can be a problem of overfitting. So that should also be considered when using these technologies, and how to seamlessly integrate this with the already functioning cancer screening systems that are available. And the last thing is ethics, which should be thought about, of how ethical are we while we are using this technology for cancer screening. So with that, I would invite two experts, Dr. Ananya Panda, who's an associate professor with us here in Radiology Jodhpur, and her area of expertise is in radiomics in pancreatic and prostatic cancers. And we have Mr. Rohit Kalla, who's a research scholar in artificial intelligence. He has done his PhD from IIT Madras. And now I'd like to invite Mr. Rohit Kalla to give his views on the role of AI in cancer screening. Thank you.
Yeah. Hello and welcome all to the day 6 of IIRI's national program along with Swasti Foundation. So I'm a PhD scholar from IIT Madras, and I'll be presenting a very brief presentation which will give an overview of how we can leverage the AI technology for detecting the cancer. I'll just start my presentation now. So towards the end of the presentation, I will not go towards the depth of the technicality, but if anybody is interested, can drop me a mail to the below email ID. So the workflow of my presentation is that I'll first introduce the what is cancer and why AI is required for cancer screening, and then I'll talk about some recent advancement which has taken place in recent future, and how the world is making use of AI for cancer screening and detection. And moving forward, I'll just give a very brief introduction of where we are heading to in the case of using AI for cancer screening. So before starting, keeping in mind that there's a vast audience here coming from different streams, I'll just give a formal definition of what is cancer and then what are the types of the cancer. So cancer is basically a disease in which damaged body cells grow uncontrollably throughout the body, and in some cases it creates lumps called tumors. Basically, there are two types of tumors. One is malignant and the other is benign. The malignant tumor spreads through the body, whereas the benign tumor remains at a place and form a large lump. And the problem which we are facing is in the early detection. So where AI can be used is we can use AI for early detection of the cancer, and this is because it can detect the cancer in the early stage for better prognosis, as well as it is more accurate compared to a naked eye. When a doctor goes through a medical image, it is more accurate and can be more reliable, because it has from past few years it has shown promising results in detecting cancer. So moving forward, I'll just talk about a recent advancement which has taken place. So nowadays people are using AI for segmenting out the tumor region from the medical images. So you can see a figure on the screen wherein it is shown that T2 weighted MRI image is taken as a ground truth, and then the author runs a deep learning algorithm to segment out the tumor area from the image. As we can see that this is the picture from the benchmark paper, wherein they have shown with different images with a different thresholding, wherein they have shown true positive and false negatives. So this is the paper from Brett's challenge, wherein people are reporting results with more and more accuracy as we from past few years. Then researchers are also looking upon AI for classification of different kind of tumors. So as shown in this image, there are several types of tumors from which have been detected from the cancer. So the AI, in most of the cases, the AI is like 99% accurate in detecting different kind of tumors. As we can see that here, high-grade glioma and benign tumors and brain metastasis also can be detected by the AI. Moving forward, there are many grand challenges which keeps on coming on the Grand Challenge website, which is posted by several medical organizations throughout the world. As you can see, and most of them are related to the cancer, wherein they are seeking for best accuracy and more novel ideas for detecting the cancers or tumors in the body. So as you can see that many cancer challenges are popping up very frequently on the website. Then now I'll just talk about what is the future and where we are heading towards. in case of AI, leveraging AI technology in the cancer. So recently, in the last year, an interpretable decision-making AI algorithm have been published, wherein a deep learning algorithm has been used, a deep learning network is used on the mammogram images to identify whether the cancer is malignant or benign. But it's an interpretable network. That is, not only that it classifies benign or malignant tumor, but it also helps in taking the decision for the surgeon whether to at what stage the malignant tumor is, and how what kind of treatment can be suggested for the patient. As you can see in this figure, that a mammogram image is fed to the network, and they use a prototype network, wherein different prototypes are learned throughout the network, and these prototypes are compared at the time of training for learning purpose, and at the time of testing, these prototypes are used to compute the score and heat maps. So based on that, a histogram approach is used, wherein as in this image we can see that three different types of cancers are there which have been predicted, and in the right hand part of this D figure, we see that the malignant tumor, the score of the malignant tumor is very high. So based on this, the surgeon can or a doctor can suggest some treatment to the patient. So this kind of deep learning technology have been people have started using this kind of technology nowadays. And the future of AI in cancer treatment is that the world is moving towards digital twin. So in case of digital twin, what people do is they create a virtual environment of the part of a body or a process of the body, wherein the real-time suggestions from the expert or a surgeon or a doctor can be provided to the patient. As you can see in the image here, a physical model or a virtual model is shown toward the left-hand part of the diagram, wherein that contains several information, demographic information, blood test reports, and the previous history of the patient. So all these patients, like in today's world, we have smart watches that do real-time monitoring of oxygen level and heartbeats. And in the similar way, virtual environment is created, and a real-time data of the patient is fed into the system, and this data is then processed in the data processing block, the DT dataset block. After processing the data, we have a deep learning model at the backend that is already pre-trained, and then it provides results that it provides the segmented region, or it identifies what kind of cancer is there and what is the growth. It estimates the growth of the cancer region. So based on that, this information is on a virtual platform. It is visible to the expert, and the expert can give the real-time suggestions. So this is how the future is. The future approach is taken to in the case of AI using AI in the cancer treatment. So these are the references which have been used throughout the presentation. Thank you. Please let me know if you have any query.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Rohit Kalla, for that wonderful presentation. Yagarajan?
Hi. Is my voice audible? I'm not able to.
Yeah, we can hear you. Okay. So Rohit's presentation is over.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Kalla. It was a brief presentation on how AI and deep learning can be used for radiological images, and for how that can be implemented in cancer screening. Now I would like to invite Dr. Ananya, who has been working with radiomics in pancreatic as well as prostatic cancers, and we would be very grateful to see her ideas and perspectives on how cancer screening is going to benefit from AI and deep learning.
Good evening, everyone. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Yeah, good evening, everyone, and thank you for the kind introduction and the invitation to speak today. I will be talking about how AI can support image-based cancer screening. Looking at the learning objective of this seminar, I can talk about how AI can support image-based cancer screening, discuss selected examples, and talk about barriers and challenges. This is the overview of today's talk, a brief introduction, followed by AI-supported diagnostic workflow triage, AI-supported image analysis, and then problems and conclusions. A brief introduction. We all know that artificial intelligence is a broad umbrella term that refers to the ability of computers to mimic human intelligence. Machine learning is a subset of AI that refers to computer algorithms that improve, that trains itself and learns better when it is exposed to more and more data. The machine learning can either be a supervised machine learning or unsupervised machine learning. In supervised machine learning, the machine initially relies on human segmentation and annotation to train itself. In unsupervised machine learning, the algorithm is able to train itself to detect patterns that may not be visible to human eye. So in unsupervised machine learning, the model is automatically able to identify patterns and improve as it gets more and more data to play with. Deep learning is a very specific subset of machine learning that refers to models that contain interconnected neurons, and these are often referred to convolutional neural networks or artificial neural networks, and these have a wide range of applications in radiology. When we talk about AI, we often hear the word radiomics. You may think that radiomics and AI are synonymous, but that's not true. Radiomics is a particular field that refers to extraction of a high number of quantitative information from medical images. These quantitative information are often invisible to the human eye. This is the traditional radiomics pipeline that relies on human segmentation of abnormalities and organs. Based on these segmentation, multiple features are extracted, and these are predefined traditional radiomic features like size, shape, entropy, first and second order texture analysis. Based on this, statistical models are employed, and these statistical models are used to create final models that can either be used for classification or prognostication. An example of classification would be, is this particular region benign or malignant? Is this a high-grade cancer or is this a low-grade cancer? On the other hand, deep radiomics is a newly emerging subset of AI, but all of these that were described in the traditional radiomics pipeline are automatically performed by a convolutional neural network. So the segmentation, the feature extraction, and the classification is automatically done by deep learning, and that is known as deep radiomics. It's able to generate its own radiomic features rather than relying on some predetermined radiomic features as we talk in traditional radiomic pipeline. There are multiple applications of AI in cancer screening, as shown in this schematic. However, for today's talk, I'm going to focus from a radiology perspective, how AI can be used for workflow triage and how it can be used for image analysis. Coming to AI-supported diagnostic workflow triage. As we know, when we do population screening, we have a large number of images to look at, and that can lead to radiologist fatigue. When we talk about workflow triage, an AI can be used to filter out normal or negative exams from the diagnostic work list. So the AI model can look at multiple images, and then it can remove cases that are going to have low risk of malignancy and a high confidence of being normal. On the other hand, it can identify cases that would have a high risk of being malignant or abnormal, and these are escalated for specialist radiologist review, who are often located in tertiary cancer centers and may not be located at grassroots levels. This kind of a diagnostic workflow triage has been widely validated for mammography. It's also been shown that when the AI is able to remove normal studies and the radiologist is only looking at abnormal studies, it can improve the reader efficiency and increase the detection of true positives, which is the objective of population screening. This is an example of a paper that showed how AI was used for triaging breast cancer screening mammogram. So the AI model, it was a commercially available AI algorithm that looked at about 7,000 screening mammograms and gave a score between 0 to 1. Out of that entire cohort, the lowest two-thirds, the patients with the lowest two-thirds of AI risk scores could be removed to a no radiologist workflow list and not a single cancer was missed. Basically, you could remove two-thirds of your work list by using this AI algorithm and still be sure that you're not missing out any breast cancer. On the other hand, when the AI selectively picked up the patients with the highest 5% of risk scores and then escalated that for further imaging with MRI, a specialist radiologist review, then this was able to detect an additional 27 to 35% of early breast cancers. This is another example of how AI can be used for triaging tomosynthesis. We all know that tomosynthesis generates a lot more number of images as compared to a conventional two-view mammogram. When you're looking at increased number of images, that can lead to fatigue. So again, this commercially available AI algorithm evaluated more than 13,000 DBT images, and it was able to filter out 40% of normal mammograms from the reading work list. Of the remaining abnormal mammogram, the performance of AI was comparable or even more than the radiologist's performance. Therefore, it could act as the second virtual reader and help in the detection of early breast cancers. Coming to AI-supported image analysis. When we talk about AI-supported image analysis, it can either refer to a region detection or segmentation, which is often done by using deep learning or convolutional neural networks. Or we can talk about region classification, which can be done by deep learning or machine learning. This is an example of how AI can be used to set up an end-to-end cancer detection pipeline. On one end, you have the input as high-quality radiology images, and then you have the pipeline comprising of a convolutional neural network that can detect abnormality, can classify that, and then come out with a final cancer risk detection score. Now, AI-supported image analysis can be particularly useful where imaging is already playing a major role in screening or early diagnosis. Some of these cancers include breast cancer that relies on mammography, lung cancer that relies on low-dose lung CT for screening, prostate cancer that relies on multiparametric MRI, and pancreatic cancer, hepatocellular cancer, colorectal malignancies, and so on. Moving on to breast cancer screening. So this was a study that evaluated a standalone AI algorithm for breast cancer detection and compared the performance with 101 radiologists. This data was obtained from 7 countries and it was independently evaluated by 101 radiologists. A commercially available AI system evaluated the mammograms and it was found that the performance of the AI system was statistically non-inferior to that of the radiologist. Therefore, the AI system could be used to pick up breast cancer in the absence of any radiologist. In addition, the AI system had a performance better than 2/3 of the radiologists in that study. So this kind of a standalone artificial intelligence system can be useful in small areas, in smaller centers that may not have specialist breast radiologists. This is another example of the same algorithm that was used for population-based screening program, and it was used to evaluate more than 1 lakh mammogram scans. It was found that 88% of screening cancers, and 45% of cancers that develop in the interval between 2 mammograms had a score of 10, which is the highest risk score that can be assigned by this algorithm. This is an example that shows there is a focal asymmetry in the inner aspect of the breast. There is no concordant abnormality on the MLO view. The ultrasound shows a small region less than 1 centimeter. The AI evaluated this image and gave a score of 10. The biopsy showed carcinoma in situ, which is the earliest stage of cancer that you can detect. This is T0, which is pre-invasive stage. When we use a lower threshold on AI, it became more specific, but it became less sensitive and began to miss about 20% of screening detected cancers. Moving on to lung cancer screening, we all know that lung cancer is a very common cancer with a high mortality. The US performed a national lung cancer trial, and it was found that screening with low-dose CT decreased lung cancer mortality by 20 to 30%. So now it's recommended to do a low-dose lung CT by screening high-risk patients based on the smoking history and age. The problem with the screening CT is that it generates thousands of images at less than 1 millimeter slice thickness. Trying to view all of these images can lead to a considerable viewer fatigue. There is a limited availability of expert thoracic radiologists. This is a problem that AI can be pretty well suited to solve. And to tackle this problem, there is a group from Chicago that develop a deep learning algorithm that was trained on the 40,000 lung cancer screening trial CTs. And then the objective of this deep learning algorithm was to predict the risk of lung cancer. When this algorithm was tested on an external data set of 1,000 patients, it was found, on an external data set of 1,000 patients, it was found that the model outperformed the average radiologist at malignancy risk prediction. This is another paper that came out from UK. So this basically looked at incidentally detected pulmonary nodules between 5 to 15 millimeters. We know that the risk of malignancy is related to the size of pulmonary nodule. As the size increases, it's more likely to be malignant. They evaluated about 1,300 nodules, and they found that the AI was able to detect malignant nodules with a 99% sensitivity. There was only one cause targeted out of all nodules. But this kind of a high sensitivity is very important from a screening perspective. From a screening perspective, you want your model to be sensitive. You want your model not to miss out cancers that have a low false negative rate. This is an example from the same paper that look at nodules across different sizes, 8 millimeter, 10 millimeter, and 12 millimeter. These are definitely benign nodules on the left side, and these are definitely malignant nodules on the right side. And you can see that all the malignant nodules have a higher probability risk score compared to benign nodules across different sizes. Moving on to prostate cancer. Prostate cancer is a relatively common cancer but has a very low cancer-related morbidity. We don't typically do prostate cancer screening because there is a problem of overdiagnosis. When we try to do prostate cancer screening, we end up detecting a lot of low-grade, clinically insignificant cancer that may not lead to cancer-related morbidity. That is, patients who are diagnosed with prostate cancer may not die of prostate cancer, but they tend to die of other etiologies. If you have to do a population-based screening of prostate cancer, it's really important to be able to identify a high-risk population, be able to detect clinically significant prostate cancer that would confer survival benefit, and avoid unnecessary prostate biopsies. And all of these objectives can be attained with AI support. This is an example of how AI can be used for for selecting a cohort of high-risk patients. It's possible to incorporate clinical information like age, the PSA data like PSA density, PSA velocity, WBC count, prostate volume, so on, feed all of that clinical information into a machine learning algorithm that comes out with a probability of this particular patient having a positive prostate biopsy. The second objective is AI can be used to automate prostate gland segmentation and volume measurements, both on ultrasound as well as MR. The prostate volume measurement is important for calculation of prostate density, and this is a very manual, labor-intensive process. If you're able to make AI do this automatically, that can be very time. It can save a lot of time. The third objective of AI is to use the algorithm to detect clinically significant prostate cancer that can be targeted for biopsy. In this example, you can see that you have 2 images, the DWR and the map. The AI algorithm analyzes all of these acquired MR images and come out with the probability score, and then superimpose the probability map onto the weighted image, indicating that this particular region has a very high probability of being clinically significant cancer. And a biopsy, targeted biopsy of this region showed region 7 cancer, which is considered a clinically significant prostate cancer. The current sensitivity of AI-based localization of clinically significant prostate cancer is in the range of 87 to 92%. Adding AI to the diagnostic workflow can decrease radiologist reading time, and it can increase the overall confidence, particularly for the transition zone prostate cancer. There are commercially available prostate MR AI solutions in the US and Europe. These have been developed by different companies like Siemens, GE, Quantic, and so on. Most of these allow prostate segmentation and lesion detection. But the performance of these commercially available AI softwares on an Indian population is unknown. The performance of these AI softwares is highly dependent on the quality of the MR images, and these are vendor specific. For example, a Siemens software is not going to work on an image that was acquired on a GE MR scanner. Moving on to pancreatic cancer. Now, pancreatic cancer is an uncommon cancer, but it has a disproportionately high mortality. It has been found that early detection of pancreatic cancer less than 2 centimeters can improve the overall outcome. But unfortunately, radiologists can miss about 40 to 70% of pancreatic cancer less than 2 centimeters. So because pancreatic cancer is uncommon, it's not possible to screen the entire population. So therefore, there is a benefit in identifying and screening high-risk populations, and this screening can be further supplemented by AI-aided detection of malignancy. This is an example of how pancreatic cancer risk population can be defined. The first way to identify high-risk population for pancreatic cancer is strong family history. There are 2 first-degree relatives with pancreatic cancer. There's a new risk factor that has been identified in the last 3 to 4 years, and that is age more than 50 years with new onset diabetes mellitus associated with weight loss. So typically when somebody has diabetes, that is associated with weight gain. But when somebody has diabetes associated with weight loss, that is a very high risk factor for incident or imminent pancreatic cancer. When you have a strong family history, when you have an older patient who's newly developing pancreatic cancer, newly developing diabetes with weight loss, that is the ideal population that can be targeted for dedicated screening. This screening is often done on imaging like CT, and the AI can supplement this cancer detection on CT. This was a paper that came out this year in 2022, where we basically used an internal data set comprising of 500 patients with pancreatic cancer and 700 controlled participants. They developed a 5-layer convolutional neural network with an output of probability of cancer being present or pancreatic cancer being absent. When this 5-layer convolutional neural network was validated on a nationwide population data comprising of 1,400 CT exams, it was able to detect pancreatic cancer with 90% sensitivity and 93% specificity. The sensitivity of this algorithm for detecting pancreatic cancer less than 2 centimeters was about 75%. And this is comparable or even better than some non-expert radiologists. It has also been found that the changes of early pancreatic cancer can be seen about 12 months before the clinical diagnosis, but this is often missed on imaging because we are not trained to pick up early pancreatic cancer. Now, if you look now, most of these patients come at stage 4, where the disease has already metastasized. But when you go back in time, about 12 months before the clinical diagnosis of pancreatic cancer, they begin to show isolated pancreatic dilation. About 9 months before the clinical diagnosis of pancreatic cancer, they can see a low density mass in the pancreas. And about 3 to 6 months before the clinical diagnosis, they begin to show peripancreatic spread with involvement of arteries and veins. But even in this particular scenario, when the cancer has begun to spread outside of the pancreas, radiologists may not pick up this, or is able to pick up on only 50% of these cases. Therefore, there is a need for AI to pick up changes on CT before they are visible to the human eye. Being able to do so will give us a substantial lead time in diagnosis of at least 12 to 18 months. Based on that hypothesis, this is a study that came from Mayo Clinic, where they looked at 155 patients who eventually developed pancreatic cancer but had CT scan acquired about 3 months to 3 years before the diagnosis of pancreatic cancer. This was compared with a cohort of patients who never developed pancreatic cancer. Radiomic analysis was done to evaluate the pancreas in both the pre-diagnostic cohort and the control cohort, and the best performing machine learning model had an AUC of 0.98 with a very high sensitivity and specificity, differentiating pre-diagnostic CT from a normal CT. The performance of the AI was substantially better than the performance of 2 radiologists who had been trained in abdominal imaging. The inter-reader agreement of radiologists was not that great. In addition, the radiologists had false negative, that is, they called normal CTs as abnormal CTs. Moving on to hepatocellular carcinoma screening. Now, it's very common in India and Southeast Asia, and again, screening can confer survival benefit. Similar to pancreatic cancer, we are able to have this kind of a pyramidal model where we define a high-risk group that has a higher risk of developing hepatocellular carcinoma, and this comprises of cirrhosis of any etiology with figured liver function and hepatitis B viremia without cirrhosis. This high-risk cohort can be further enriched by biomarkers like serum AFP, blood tests with hepatitis B and C levels. And then this cohort can be further evaluated with semi-annual ultrasound. Ultrasound is the preferred screening modality because it is low cost, easily accessible in smaller centers, and does not involve radiation. So there is an opportunity for using AI to detect hepatocellular carcinoma in this high-risk group patient who come for screening ultrasound or surveillance ultrasound. This was a paper that looked at AI to detect liver lesions and ultrasound images. Again, it was trained on 40,000 images, and then it was validated on site images. But unfortunately, the performance was not that great in terms of detection of hepatocellular carcinoma. The detection rate was between 74 to 91%. The model had low sensitivity but high specificity. The performance of the model for detecting tumors less than 2 centimeters was only in the range of 24 to 50%. And the performance was lower in patients with cirrhosis as compared to non-cirrhosis. Therefore, there is a definite need and there is a golden opportunity to develop robust AI models that can have a higher detection rate and sensitivity for screening of hepatocellular carcinoma in patients who have cirrhosis. Similar work can also be possible with multi-detector CT, however, that would require exposure to radiation. On the colorectal cancer, colorectal cancer can be screened by using CT colonography, but similar to lung cancer, it suffers from the problems of looking at too many images, and there is no reliable way to visually differentiate a benign polyp, benign hyperplastic polyp, from a pre-malignant polyp like adenoma or tubulobilous adenoma. Just by looking at the radiologist, I cannot make a difference. But this kind of a problem can be tackled by AI. AI is able to differentiate benign and pre-malignant polyps with a very high sensitivity and specificity. For benign malignancy, it is relatively understudied compared to other cancers, and that is because there is no clearly defined at-risk cohort that can be targeted for image-based screening. However, this is a paper that came out in this month in the Lancet. They tried to develop a deep learning pelvic ultrasound model for accurate differentiation of ovarian cancer. The training model was developed on more than 1 lakh women. And then the model was validated on 2 external data sets from other institutions. So the model had very good performance both in the internal validation dataset and the outside external validation dataset. The model had better performance than the performance of an average radiologist as shown in blue, and the performance of the model was comparable to the most expert radiologists. In addition, all the radiologists, irrespective of their own experience, had a higher diagnostic confidence when they were paired with the AI algorithm. Interestingly, the model was also able to pick up ovarian cancer 1 to 4 years before the clinical diagnosis of malignancy had been made. For example, in this case, the patient initially came in 2016 and the radiologist called it as a benign ovarian teratoma. The patient came back 1 year later with a definite diagnosis of ovarian malignancy. When the model was shown the initial ultrasound image, it correctly classified this as malignant, thereby providing lead time of about 1 year. Coming to challenges, the key requisites for getting AI to mainstream requires evaluation of all these parameters. The first and the foremost is the performance of the AI, and this requires the very critical evaluation by all stakeholders. The second thing is how well can it be integrated to the imaging workflow, to the diagnostic workflow, and to the hospital workflow. The third is how much time is it taken, how much is it increasing the radiologist reading time. Ideally, the AI should not increase the radiologist reading time, and it should decrease the time it takes for the radiologist to read the images. And last but not the least, how cost effective it is to employ that AI algorithm into clinical practice. In India, there are specific population-based challenges in real-life implementation. We have very limited national guidelines on population-based screening. This is in contrast to the UK, US, and Europe that have extensive guidelines that define the at-risk population for screening. There is a general lack of awareness among providers and patients for identifying, detecting, and screening high-risk subgroups. There is a definite lack of accessibility to medical imaging. Most of the screening facilities are limited to Tier 1 and Tier 2 cities, particularly CT and MR. And these screening exams are not always covered by medical insurance, and some of these patients may not be able to afford the cost of screening out of their own pocket. In terms of development and validation of indigenous AI models, now the prerequisites for developing indigenous AI tools require large, well-curated data set. Now this is very labor intensive. It requires us to participate in collecting images, in annotating these images, and being able to make sure that these kind of data sets can be used for AI training and subsequent validation. There is a definite need for multi-institution and interdisciplinary collaboration. There is a need for multiple institutions to come together to contribute their images to form a data set. Most of the studies that I showed had collaboration from different institutions, they had collaboration from different countries, and they had interdisciplinary collaborations. There is a need for the government and for us to invest in development of immigrant data bank that is unique and indigenous to the Indian population. Because the Indian population is unique. An AI model that has been developed in the US for lung cancer screening is not going to work in the Indian population because all our lung CTs are compounded by post-TB sequelae. In the initial cost of development and validation of AI tools in India can be high, but this can also become cost effective with time when it is applied to a population-based screening and is able to detect early cancers with subsequent increased survival and decreased mortality and morbidity. This is a summary that shows that there is a very long roadmap that from the development of AI to clinical translation and commercial implementation. Now, this roadmap involves getting a data set with high quality data set that has been approved by a radiologist or some expert, medical expert, increase the data quantity, have large number of images to train the AI algorithm. Annotation is very time consuming, so potentially automated labeling can be possible using machine unsupervised machine learning. Understand the clinical reality. What is the problem that we are trying to solve? How can this particular AI help in solving that problem? What are the potential limitations of the model? Where are the areas for improvement? And we are to be able to implement that in a commercial setting. So to conclude, AI can automate routine, high volume and time consuming jobs that are beyond the purview of a radiologist. It can serve as a very good virtual second reader to detect early cancers, particularly in breast cancer, prostate cancer, lung cancer, and pancreatic cancer. It can be used for image-based risk stratification. Does the patient have a low-grade cancer? Does the patient have a high-grade cancer? With all of these advantages, AI can drive increased efficiency for population-based screening programs. But there is a need to overcome considerable operational and developmental challenges before this can be translated into real life. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for that interesting. You made a good concluding statement. All the points were valid. AI can automate all high volume image-based tasks, which is not limited only to radiology, as it pertains to pap smears and other image-based modalities also for screening of dermatological cancers and for histopathological slides also. And this will make the population screening very efficient one if we employ appropriate AI tools in the optimal way. Thank you, ma'am, and thank you, Rijo sir, for giving us the opportunity to share some of our views.
Right. Rengirajan, today's topic is the role of multidisciplinary teams in cancer screening. And we have Dr. Ananya has already explained the role of radiomics, especially in the use of artificial intelligence in cancer screening with respect to imaging perspective. And we have the moderator here, Dr. Sharon Basil. He is a community medicine specialist and also into in IT work. And we have got Dr. Jay Krishnan also here. He is from the Community Oncology Department of Regional Cancer Center. Dr. Jay Krishnan, please. Dr. Sharon, how would you like to take this discussion forward? We have got imaging specialists here. I think Mr. Rohit from IIT, I think she is still here, or we have lost connection. But Dr. Rangarajan and Dr. Ananya are from the radiology department. Dr. Jaykrishnan is from the community oncology. So the whole idea of Kerala Cancer Crusade and the Cancer Literacy Mission is downstaging. Like now the focus is more on the physical screening and on that screening camps that are happening, or the opportunistic screening that happens as part of a diagnostic workup. Now it is time for us, if we truly want to detect cancers at a very early stage, we need to go for high risk group stratification and further characterization with the help of pathomics, radiomics, and genomics. That is integrated diagnostics. Maybe it is costly at this point of time, but that's the future as it becomes more and more widely available. Dr. Sharon, how would you like to take this discussion forward?
Thank you, Dr. Riju. So I thank IRI Kerala, Swasti Foundation, and RCC for inviting me for this session. So as Dr. Riju has mentioned, I really love to experiment with this AI-based tools and all. So I have one of the largest, I actually has written one of the largest blogs on diabetes, which has around 400 articles, which was entirely written by AI. So I used a tool called, it's a tool based on GPT-3, a tool named as Jasper. So as an introduction, I will just quote one of my personal experience with the use of technology for cancer screening, and to highlight what the exact issues that we face in the community. So as a passion, I used to develop apps for Android apps, and I used to publish all these apps to Play Store. So I have around 12 apps in Play Store. So around 2019, I actually published 2 apps simultaneously. So one was on cancer prevention, and the other was on diabetes prevention. And I have used the same amount of promotion for both the apps. So I have promoted them in all the social media like Facebook, Twitter, and all. Then in sites like Reddit, Quora. Then I used micro influencers. All these strategies I have tried. So fast forward 3 years. Now the diabetes app has received around 3 lakh downloads. However, the cancer app has received only 5,000 downloads. So I was really amazed on what exactly happened to the cancer app, why it has become such a big failure. So then I had introduced a Google form into both the apps, and I have interviewed the people who are actually using these apps. So what I understood from is that actually the issue is with the perspective or the way in which the people, that attitude of the people towards cancer prevention. So even though the proverb says that prevention is better than cure, it's actually not the case with cancer prevention. None of us, including all of us, are not willing to undergo a cancer screening test for early detection, especially with the fear that diagnosis of a cancer is like a death sentence. So majority of the people, it's like they are not at all interested in, even though if you are providing anything for free regarding cancer screening, majority of people, they are not willing to accept any of these. So that was the primary reason why that cancer app was a failure. On the contrary, the people are actually interested in preventing that the NCDs like diabetes and hypertension, and that's why the diabetes app has received that many downloads. So primarily, what I understood is that even though along with developing cost-effective cancer screening programs like the use of AI, we should also give equal weightage for the behavioral change of our people towards use of these technologies. That's the basic lesson that I learned from my own experience. So with that introduction, I invite Dr. Ananya, Dr. Rangarajan, and Mr. Rohit, and Dr. Jaykrishnan and Dr. Rijo for this panel discussion. So I'm really honored to have Dr. Ananya and Dr. Rangarajan from AIIMS Jodhpur to this discussion. I was also associated with various activities of the Community Medicine and Public Health Department of AIIMS Jodhpur, and Dr. Akhil Goyal is a very close friend of mine. So with that, I have a small question to Dr. Ananya based on her presentation. So you have mentioned that you have given a very excellent presentation on the use of AI in imaging for cancer screening. So what's your opinion regarding the bias and the errors that can occur in, while using these AI-based tools for detecting cancer? The question is actually very relevant in the context of cancer, because when a person receives a wrong diagnosis such as cancer, he and his family will be devastated because we cannot 100% make sure that the diagnosis made by an AI tool is accurate. So even if it has some 90% accuracy, there's a chance that 10% of it will be wrong. and the person will get a, at least the screening round, the person will get a impression that he has got cancer. So what's your opinion regarding such type of errors and how it can be tackled?
Unmute.
Yeah, thank you. That's a very valid question, and that is applicable to screening in general, not particularly AI-based screening. Anytime when you're trying to screen cancer, the prerequisite for screening is that it needs to be very sensitive and needs to eliminate false positive. So that's something that really requires a very well-developed AI model. So most of the studies that I showed, these were studies that had been developed and validated using a very large population. So there are plenty of papers on AI coming out every month. It's very important to be able to kind of identify papers that are truly going to have some impact in the future. In terms of patient perspective, yes, I know it can be devastating to have a diagnosis of cancer given by AI. But on the other hand, we're also trying to say that this is a probability. This is not 100% of being cancer. All that we are saying is that based on how your images look like, you do have a higher probability of cancer. And we as radiologists are trying to image you further to figure out if that is truly cancer or something that is benign. And in the end, even if the patient is diagnosed with cancer based on AI, it's more likely going to be early stage cancer that may not have been detected anyways by a radiologist. So the overall survival benefit is going to be more as compared to, the patient getting missed and then comes back after 4 or 5 years with a high-grade cancer, and at that time there is nothing that you can do. So ultimately, you have to convey to the patient that this is a probability score. It's not 100% accurate. There are two ways of looking at it. Number one, if the onus is on us to develop very sensitive, very accurate AI models. If the accuracy, the diagnostic accuracy needs to be over 95 to 98%. That's one way. The second thing is telling the patient that, okay, we have this tool, it's going to give us a probability score. We are only employing this because you have certain high risk factors. Like for lung cancer, you have a long-standing smoking history. For pancreatic cancer, you have a strong family history. You have a new onset diabetes mellitus. You have weight loss. So these are concerning factors. So we are just going to employ this AI tool, and then based on the probability score, we can either escalate or we can downgrade. So it's like, I understand that there is a lot of bias in Indian population. It's often a lack of understanding of the situation, lack of communication with doctors, but we have to look at the bigger perspective. The bigger perspective is to decrease cancer-related mortality and morbidity. So, I mean, it's like a very nuanced topic, a nuanced question, and that applies to screening in any cancer, irrespective of AI being used or not being used.
Let me add on to what Dr. Ananya has already explained. Actually, these questions come with the perspective that AI is going to replace a radiologist, AI is going to replace a pathologist, AI is going to replace a genetist. None of these things are going to happen. So this has to be understood. AI is going to be a very good assistance for radiologists, pathologists, geneticists to do a large volume of work, especially suppose if a radiologist can do evaluate 100 cases a day with the help of AI, it may be 1,000 cases. This is how it is going to work. So in any case, if there is a false positive, especially the role of radiomics is something that Dr. Ananya has already mentioned. Some data characterization algorithms from the medical images is going to help radiologists in a very early detection, which is right at this point of time may not be detected by the radiologist's eyes. So what is going to happen is any positive cases has to be further evaluated for a tissue diagnosis, and so the role, it's an integrated diagnostics that is going to play. So any false positive is not going to be a major challenge here. These questions usually come with the perspective that you put in AI and AI tell you have got cancer. It's not going to be like that. At least for a time, AI will assist, AI will augment the productivity of a radiologist or a geneticist or a pathologist, and in the early detection of cancers. So we have to, the further workup essentially has to be done to sort out whether, because otherwise, even without an AI, we have got false positive, false negatives coming up in our every test. So that has to be worked out in that perspective.
Just to add a little bit. So that is why we need to work more with AI in India, because our patient population and the imaging findings that we see are much different than what UK or US sees. This has been brought out very clearly by Madam in her lecture also. So what we need to do is we need to curate our own data and see which algorithm fits our data rather than incorporating US-based or UK-based algorithms here. So this question actually brought this nuance point out that we need to be more robust with our cancer data, so that is going to help successive generations as well.
I have a small difference of opinion with what Dr. Joe has mentioned. It's like previously I have mentioned that tool that I used to write my blog. Actually, it's based on a AI technology called GPT-3. So this came only some 1 year back. So before that, there was GPT-2, which came some 2 years back. So the basic idea of this GPT system is that it's a language model. In this, we give instruction to the AI that write some 7 health benefits of using watermelon or something like that. So it will create the headings and it will create the content. Okay. So when GPT-2 came, actually it was used by all the freelance writers as a way to remove their writer's block and write efficiently and all. Then fast forward 2 years, some 6-7 months back, GPT-3 came, which was even almost 10 times more better than GPT-2. So now what happened is that all the blog owners, they directly purchased GPT-3 and they started using it directly. So GPT-3 actually writes very well, even better than a freelance writer. So those freelance writers who actually thought GPT-2 was an excellent tool are now jobless because all their work is being done by AI. So I have a small concern that maybe after 10 years, the same thing can happen with our medical healthcare also, because presently it's in a very infant stage, but there's a probability that there's an explosion can happen with the technology, and maybe in some 5-10 years, there can be a disruption, and it can actually take decisions without the help of a human. So in that case, hospital owners, not the doctors, they will actually prefer the technologies over doctors because it's more cost effective. So there's a chance like that because it happened with writers. So and same thing also happened with artists also. There is something called DALI and DALI 2. DALI 2 is an excellent tool based on AI. It's like it's suppose if you create a painting of a vase with sunflowers in the style of Van Gogh, then within some 5 minutes or something, it will create an excellent art in the exact style of Van Gogh, and it's actually the quality of like an artist. So again, now a lot of artists are fearing that they may lose the job. So actually, this AI-based technology is actually having explosion in the development. So there's a chance that it can actually affect us as well. Maybe.
In the medical field, I feel there is a human touch, the communications, everything matters. It's not just AI that giving you some kind of a diagnosis alone. That is, it requires, it's a clinical radiology that we are talking about here. And so the clinical medicine has got a lot of components other than just a technological diagnosis. So I think it's this far-fetched imagination when it comes to the role of AI replacing the professionals entirely, because there has to be somebody. Will AI take the responsibility of in a medical legal case?
That's true.
Who is going to sign the report?
So
Dr. J. Krishnan, you got any questions on these topics?
Yes, Dr. Joe, thank you. And first of all, I would like to congratulate the speakers for their excellent presentations. And it is, basically a new topic for me because we are mostly onto the conventional mode of cancer screening. And this is something different. But I think in future, I think that AI-based technology will be of more influence for cancer screening. And it will help in diagnosing so many other cancers, because nowadays we are actually focusing on 3 or 4 cancers. But Dr. Ananya had told about other cancers like lung cancers, colon, pancreatic cancers. So I would like to know, because from the Indian context, she had mentioned about the lung cancer screening with AI. And because lung cancer is the most common cancer across the globe. For India, I think we have a huge burden of lung cancers. So how can we differentiate? I mean, how can we take on those high-risk groups? I mean, can we? I mean, I was just thinking about. I mean, can we score? I mean, can we take that high-risk score based on the nicotine dependency or things like that because of heavy smokers? Or can you differentiate, and thereby can we use AI? Of course, it's still in a very immature stage, but in the long run, apart from cancer prevention activities, how can AI support for other cancers like lung cancers, which are common cancer in our country? Just a minute.
So the data that I showed was basically from the US. So 10 years ago, US developed a national lung cancer screening trial where it used CT to screen patients who could have a high risk of lung cancer. They identified high risk as patients between the age of 50 to 74 who had more than 30 years smoking history or who had quit smoking less than 15 years. And US conducted a nationwide clinical trial where it invited people to come and get themselves screened with CTs. And then this was the paper that came out in the New England Journal of Medicine, NEJM. And then based on that nationwide screening trial, where about 40,000 people all over the US were invited to participate and undergo a low-dose CT. And based on the results and analysis of that trial, the US government came out with recommendations that lung cancer should be incorporated in annual screening, and this would be paid by insurance. In order to do something similar like this in India, it requires government investment, it requires money, it requires a nationwide effort to develop a trial where we can identify that these are patients who could have a high risk of lung cancer based on the history, based on the occupational history, based on the smoking history. In India, pneumoconiosis and TB are also considered risk factors for lung cancer. I mean, a lot of women with cancers are not even smokers in India. They are exposed to secondary smoke from their family members, or they are exposed to smoke while they are cooking, particularly in villages. So India has a very unique set of risk factors. And in order to identify, the first thing for screening to work is to identify a cohort of patients, a high-risk group. And that high-risk group is going to be specific to India. You can't take the US data, you can't take the UK data. For India, there needs to be an effort to have clinical trials. I mean, we don't do a lot of clinical trials because we don't have the time, we don't have the aptitude, we don't have the money to invest in clinical trials. But then that is why we need multidisciplinary team to be able to set up clinical trials, to invite patients to come and participate in clinical trials. I mean, most patients are not even aware that you can come and participate in clinical trials. Invite patients, people from normal population, they're not even patients. They are just people who have some high risk factors. Invite them to participate in clinical trials. And then you got these images and then follow them up over time. That follow-up is not 1 year, 2 years, it's like a 5-year follow-up, 10-year follow-up, and then find out of those how many people ended up developing cancer. Once you have that robust data set with clinical information, with imaging information, it's only then you can talk about, oh, how can we develop an AI-based tool for improved prediction. Right now, we are at a very basic step that we don't even have a defined or an identified high-risk population. So we should be first able to define a high-risk population in the Indian subcontinent, invite them for imaging-based diagnosis, collect that kind of data, and then use that data for further development of AI-based algorithms. That's from a population perspective.
Right.
Thank you.
So what Dr. Ananya has highlighted is the risk groups in US may not be the same risk factors in as far as India is concerned. We may have to add additional risk factors in India to come out with that high risk group. Yeah, let me ask Dr. Sharon here a question that the government of Kerala has come out with a Shaili app, and with the help of ASHA workers, they're trying to have, with the help, they are asking certain a questionnaire model, they are trying to find out the high risk groups. So one of the necessities that we have realized as part of the Kerala Cancer Crusade and Cancer Literacy Mission is a need, as you rightly pointed out, when it comes to comes to the willingness for a cancer screening program, there is a lot of hesitancy. So what is we have discussed in the Onco Summit in Trivandrum about the introduction of a skilled navigator, either the Kudumbashree, the women empowerment groups, or the national service scheme, the students groups, or the trained nurses, or somebody who has got an access towards the all levels of community can act as facilitators who can encourage the high risk groups to undergo training, and also can facilitate their screening tests with the service providers. So what are the possibility of IT and related apps? Since you are a app developer, can we develop an app that can connect the skill navigators with the service providers and facilitate this for Kerala Cancer Crusade?
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Joe, for the question. Yeah, definitely we can develop an app for having an easier communication with this service providers, as well as the main people who are the administrators of this thing. So main advantage is that there can be a direct communication, and we can actually there is that apps called Slack, in which we can actually create communities in between the groups, and between them we can actually give administrative privileges on whom all will have access to different group of messages. So in that way, so in different levels of our control, we will be able to monitor the activities in a very precise manner. So it's actually feasible to conduct that.
So how can social media groups like WhatsApp, Facebook, and all be utilized for this kind of an activity?
Actually, it's through the use of something called micro-influencers. So there has been many studies on different ways in which something can be promoted in digital marketing. So it's like we can actually pay money to have our banners in different websites. We can use the Google ads to show our ads. We can use Facebook marketing to show that. Different methods are there, but among the different strategies, the most cost-effective one is actually finding out who all are having good number of followers, or who all are have some people, if they promote something, so their followers will be highly interested in following them. So they are called micro influencers. So macro influencers are those people who are having some 1 lakh or 2 lakh amount of followers, but micro influencers are those who has around 5,000 or 10,000 followers. So these people are very we can actually contact them personally to promote these, and especially for a social cause and all, they will actually do it for free. And even if they charge some amount for this type of promotion, it will be very nominal compared to a large scale influencer. So by using these micro influencers in Instagram, Facebook and WhatsApp, we will be able to have very good access to those people who are otherwise unreachable through our other strategies. So it can be done.
Right. So that opens up some new possibilities in reaching out to the target groups, and also in bringing together the skill navigators and the service providers, so that early detection of cancer. So we are coming to the conclusion of this this almost 1.5 hours. So let me once again thank all our speakers, Dr. Rangarajan Rajagopal and Dr. Ananya Panda from the Radiology Department of All India Institute of Medical Sciences, Jodhpur, for the wonderful presentation of artificial intelligence, radiomics, and the role of radiology in the early detection of cancers. And my sincere thanks to Mr. Rohit Kalla, the research scholar from IIT Madras, who talked about the artificial intelligence and the future role of artificial intelligence in diagnostics. Let me thank Dr. Sharon Basil, the assistant professor in the community medicine department, and also an app developer, and also has ventured into many of the social sites and has given us some valuable suggestions and ideas on how to take forward the various activities of Kerala Cancer Crusade and the Cancer Literacy Mission, a platform, a project with which the Preventive Radiology National Program of Indian Radiological and Imaging Association and IRIA Kerala and the Community Oncology Department of Regional Cancer Center Trivandrum is closely associated with. I also wish to thank Padma Shri Dr. Harsh Mahajan sir, who has consented to join us and give the inaugural address. His support and his vision and his messages is going to help us in this endeavor. And he has also promised to join this platform with a talk on the activities that they are doing, because their integrated diagnostics with radiomics, pathomics, and genomics is a game changer for India in the future. So thank you all once again, all the attendees. And tomorrow we will be having another session. Dr. Ramdas is from the Karkinos group. He is the head of the clinical services from the Karkinos group and formerly the director of Regional Cancer Center Trivandrum. Will be giving us a talk, and Dr. Jay Krishnan will be moderating that particular session. Dr. Jay Krishnan, can you please tell me who are the panelists for that session?
Yeah, actually, we have Dr. Babu Matthew. He was the former head of Department of Community Oncology Division of RCC. Then we have Dr. Nirmal from MVR Cancer Institute.
Right. So tomorrow's chief guest will be Mr. Krishnanand Pai. He is the president of the Malabar Cancer Care Society, who's doing phenomenal work in cancer detection, treatment, and palliative care in the 5 northern districts of Kerala. And we'll be fortunate to have all the speakers and dignitaries tomorrow. So do not forget to join us tomorrow at 8 p.m. Till then, goodbye. And once again, wish to thank each one of you who have joined us today. Thank you very much.